Hi everyone, this is Dragon GGY and welcome to yet another module review update. In Volume 4, we will be covering the modules from the last two patches, the 4th anniversary patch Long Trail, as well as Laterano 2.0. No, let me try to do it. Ortus Descapismo. Okay, we will be using the same format as before, and I want to stress again that these are my personal, subjective analysis, and I always welcome discussions about the ratings. You can also join my Discord server for live discussions, or use my online Google Sheet for more timely updates. Now, let's get into the reveals. First, we have Gnosis. It increases the fragile number from his talent, and it gives the highest possible fragile in the game at 66%. But on the flip side, the way he asserts that fragile is harder to synergize with other skills compared to Suzuran, which is very straightforward and is often countered by freeze immune, while slow immune is much rarer. My take is that if you mostly use Gnosis for his cold or freeze as CCs, I'd say this module is not necessary even with level 1. But also I have to remind you that his cold mechanic is tied to this talent, which means that there is a slim chance for his second mod to be even related to the cold and freeze at all. Next, we have Rosmontis. One thing I want to point out straight away is that all modules effects that involves introducing an additional instance of damage is usually quite good. It means additional damage without taking up the time for another attack, and they will trigger attack-related skill effects or talent effects, which can be impactful. Think of Rosa, and it is quite similar for Rosmontis, and it's in the base effect. I have a showcase video for this module, and it basically makes her every attack more potent, especially auto attacks. It increases stun chance for skill 2 and big boost for skill 3 ideal damage. That said, the nature of Flinger has not been changed a lot. She's still specialized to take care of low to mid defense enemy waves, but that bar has lifted up a bit thanks to the additional defense ignore. Now, Holo Aak is the new caster from 4th anniversary banner. Unlike Aya or KOE, her kit is built around control while levitation and silence. She has the damage potential with skill 3, but if you're not into her damage part, I think this module would be an instant skip. Otherwise, base effect is again basically mandatory for damage. The silence time plus is essential to ensure a full silence coverage in skill 3 because the hurricanes she creates has travel time to target tile. That said, the damage increase part of this module is conditional, which feels rather mean if you compare it to other core caster modules. Next, we have the second module for W. Compared to the first one, this one overall has more damage potential and is easier to achieve that condition. One nice thing about the attack modifier is that if W is attacked but successfully dodged that damage, the attack modifier will not be lost. But one head-scratching thing about it is that the defense ignore from base is not applied to damage from skill 2 and 3. So make your decision on which one to pick. You can refer to my showcase video as well. Kal'tsit also got herself a second module. Compared to Module X, this one heavily focuses on the damage and survival for monster itself, but lose out on the functionality and damage from the additional explosion, as well as Kal'tsit's overall healing from Module X. Again, I have a video covering both of the modules, so you can make decision from there. Next, we have Stainless. It's overall mostly on the QOL side. You get 100% device recycle rate if you have potential 5 with module level 3, which is neat. It is mostly relevant for using skill 3 because it has the highest likelihood of the turrets being next to him, and it improves the skill cycle from 35 per second to 29.2 seconds. But at the end of the day, the weirdest thing about this talent has not changed, and it is the surrounding A-tile limit. It remains so rigid and awkward, so that this module feels more like a QOL instead of a significant buff to him. Next, we have Aak, or Aak, whatever you call him. The base effect does stack with skill auras, so having a Kal'tsit as his healer is pretty nice. With the additional all-in-one effect, however, he can more reliably stay alive on his own if he can always find something to shoot at. He also has a much higher stun or slow uptime in general. He feels very similar to how Cruise Alter is right now, and can sometimes mega interrupt ranged enemies, which is a decent surprise. With this module, his skill 1 is obviously on fire, but it can also work with skill 3. Still, it's either getting him a target that does not kill him, or binding a healer to him. Overall, this is a surprisingly nice module to add to his kit. For the second modules, we have Flametail X. This one is a faction-based module. Some notable interaction are that with level 3, retreating a module level 1 plus Gravel will net gain 1 DP, and retreating a module level 1 plus WoW main will net gain 3 DP. Overall, this one comes with higher survivability with that extra defense and physical dodge. Compared to the last one, this module is a little behind in the early stages of the level. She doesn't have that -4 DP, and is less capable of quickly clearing off all the enemies that rush into her without the damage buff from module Y. Finally, we have Blemishine X. 8-second sleep on deploy is actually pretty strong, both for safe landing and dealing more initial damage as well as building up for the skills, which is a big plus for hardcore content. Her skill 3 will now offer even higher HPS with the base effect. But, and this is a big but, her skill 2 healing is unaffected by the base effect because it is a live regeneration based on her attack stats instead of healing. So overall, this module is very tailored for hardcore content, same as how she's currently doing, which can be a good thing to see. For the rating updates I want to bring up this episode, there are some quick adjustments to make up for some older ratings and some balancing between newer module and the older one. Again, I'm sorry for perhaps making questionable recommendations here and there. I can't see into the future, but I also think having this process of re-evaluation is a good way to keep my recommendations informative, and I want to thank you all for understanding. Exusiai X, I have the recommended level changed from level 2 to level 2+ because it is quite fine to go for it just for the numbers. Mostima Y is a pretty big one. I increased the ratings for improvement to character and priority from A- to A because I think as the first batch of module upgrades to release, this one has been well tested over time. She has solid performance in CC11 and more so in CC12, and also one of the few Kal'tsit picks in IS3. Although we said that the skill cycle will still be a problem for Mostima, this module has proven itself that it lived up to everyone's expectation back in the last year this time. For Suzuran X, I slightly upped most of the criteria, especially priority, but not recommend level, so to reflect the importance of level 1 base effect to her. Her skill 3 is basically spammable these days. And finally, we have W's X module. I used to rate it pretty horribly, but maybe I had some over expectation on it. Looking back, the SP on kill is the bright spot for this module. It works with her long attack range and AoE nature pretty good, and it is even better when it's against weaker mob waves. Still a shame that you need to get it to level 2 for that SP because the base effect really is just not it. That's it for this update. It got a little late this time around. I hope I can get it out before the news for the next batch arrives. If you haven't realized already, more than 70% of eligible operators in the game had already gotten at least one module, and it feels like they are releasing modules slower right now. We'll see how it goes down from here. For now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.